It's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Being able to run as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay. is a disgusting act by Randy Moss. This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl. Ow. Here we go. Dhop from the gun to the touchdown.
This is BS Sports.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We are back. BS Sports. Episode number 10. We're here. We made it. We made it, Seth. 10 episodes.
Number 10.
Can you believe it?
Number
I didn't
10.
think we would get here. Nobody thought we would get here, but
It's
we're
true.
here. 10 episodes strong.
Yep.
It's a slow news week. It's July, guys. What do you want from me? But we do have some things. D-Hop saved the day. He came in and he said, I'll sign with the Titans and give Mike a good thumbnail image, which is pretty much, I didn't have any other options. So thanks, Deandre Hopkins.
We thank you, D-Hop.
We're going to talk about that. Shohei Ohtani in the news for obvious reasons, trade talks. We got this week in MLB. What's going on with my Tigers? Seth's Padres have lost 3 straight. Not looking good. In the second half. And I have another little snippet here. Dan Snyder had a blackmail PowerPoint. We're going to talk about it. So we got a great show. Seth, how are you?
I can't complain.
Okay.
No complaints, really.
That's good.
Other than the news being slow, but,
Yeah.
what can you do?
Yeah, well, training camp starts this Friday. And,
It's something.
Just, it's one of those things. I've been watching this quarterback documentary. I don't know if you've watched it on Netflix. It's
I know
pretty
it's
good.
out.
I would recommend it. It's only 8 episodes. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but it's only 8 episodes. And it is like the perfect time for this to be released because everybody's itching for football, especially us who have 2 bad baseball teams.
Yes.
I would imagine if we were like Orioles and Rays fans, we'd be like, we don't even care about football. Our teams are great. This is amazing. We're in a pennant chase. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're both like, is the trade deadline here?
We're both just, I'm smiling and nodding. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
but
right. So obviously the NFL is on the loom. I think
It's
I heard,
close.
or just football generally, because I think it's like we're like 7 or 8 weeks away from college football, week 1 or week 0. I don't know. Why do they call it week 0?
I don't know. Maybe
It doesn't make
they
any
had
sense.
to come up with some reason why teams play on, which MSU is one of the teams that plays on the Friday.
Yeah,
first
but
game.
just call it week 1. I don't.
Uh,
There's still teams that play that Saturday, right? Like it's not like
no,
that
there
everybody
is.
takes. I don't understand it.
They have to be different. They have to be quirky,
But it's okay. We'll talk about it another day. When we get a little closer to MSU football, we'll talk a little bit about them. But
yes,
big news of the week: Deandre Hopkins finally signs a deal, and he signs it with the Tennessee Titans. And I mean, to everyone's shock and awe, everybody's talking about it. Here come the Titans.
Oh,
I'm gonna be honest. Okay, I saw this news and I was like, oh, he signed somewhere. Oh, he really does suck now. That was pretty much my reaction. It was like, okay, so he didn't go to a contender, and I don't want to hear any of these Titan fans talking, oh, now we're a no, you're not. You don't know who your quarterback is, so that just immediately puts you out of contention. You have Derrick Henry and a good D-line. And,
what else?
That and $1.50 will get you a cup of coffee. I don't know. I was not very impressed by this. I don't know what your thoughts were. You deal with the AFC more than me.
Yeah, it's neutral. When I saw it, I was like, okay, great.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not anything that's gonna be a factor in my opinion, because the Titans are still gonna be the Titans.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is it also wasn't like an overpay. It was I'm looking at Ian Rappaport here. It's 2 years, $26 million with up to $32 million with some incentives. I don't know what those are, whatever. But basically, you're paying him, $13 million a year, right?
Essentially.
And okay. Well, it's not that much, and it's not for that long, so you're not stuck with, DeAndre Hopkins. And frankly, given his track record, we don't even know if he's going to play the 2 years. Like,
That's true.
He can just say, you know what, I don't like it here. I'm not. I feel like his problem is not going to be that he's not getting enough throws. I think it's that he's
going to get injured.
He's going to get injured, or he's going to be a diva and be like, oh, I'm the only reason this team is good, which may or may not be true. But I don't know. I just found this to be like very underwhelming. It was like, because it was going on for so long, and I thought maybe this was going to go into the regular season. It was going to be like you sign him in the middle of the season, kind of.
And then he like bolsters your team.
Yeah, but to go to the Titans, it's like I just don't really understand, especially given what he said going in, where he wants to go to a competitive team, wants to go to a team with a good quarterback. We don't even know who the quarterback is. Like,
maybe he sees something that we don't.
Is it Will Levis?
Maybe he wants to play with Will Levis.
The guy they drafted out of Liberty. Malik Willis? Is that his name?
Malik Willis? Yeah.
Yeah, Malik Willis. Is it Ryan Tannehill? I don't know. Their offense is built around Derrick Henry, and they went and signed a 31-year-old wide receiver who hasn't had an all-pro season in like 3 years. Like, I don't
know.
Maybe he is going to be wide receiver 1. And then it's like you compound this move with them trading AJ Brown the year before.
I know.
Like, why didn't you just sign AJ Brown if you were like, if you thought, oh man, we're gonna need a wide receiver, let's go sign D-Hop. It's like you had D-Hop at home. Like you didn't need to do that. Yeah. And now you're just sort of in this weird neutral state where the problem, I think, for the Titans, they're in a division where they could realistically win it, assuming the Jaguars are not just a total powerhouse, which I happen to believe they could be.
Yeah.
But assuming the Jaguars are around where they were last year, like say Trevor Lawrence struggles like he did at the beginning of last year, and he just doesn't really able to get it done, then you're sitting in a division where it's pretty much anyone's win, because the Colts are not going to win it. The Texans are probably not going to win it.
No.
So it's pretty much you or the Jaguars. And if you both suck, then it's going to look a lot like last year, where a 9-8 team wins the division and hosts a playoff game.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not good if your plan is you want to rebuild, right? Or you want to like try to figure out.
Yeah.
Like your hole at this point is quarterback. And I think maybe they put 100%. A lot of stock into Will Levis, but like, we'll see, I suppose, about Will Levis, but this DeAndre Hopkins thing, it's
interesting.
I saw it and I was just like, oh, okay, I guess he's bad now. Like if it was like the Chiefs
pretty much,
or the Bills or the Eagles or dare I say the Lions, I would assume that means, oh, okay, he's probably still got something left in the tank. And, generally speaking, smart general managers are like, yeah, I want to bring this guy in. But all of the smart organizations as they stand right now had no interest in this guy.
Correct.
And the only organization that did is a team that just fired their GM. This is like a season ticket kind of move. This is like, we need to put somebody on our graphics. We need to put somebody on the big screen before the game starts. We need somebody in our local TV commercials. We need somebody to call to, get interviewed every week on the sports radio show in Nashville. Like, this is like, he's not, obviously, like I said, it's not long-term. So it's not like you're stuck with him, Tennessee, but this is not going to move the needle for me. Especially given they really didn't do anything else in the offseason. This isn't like a cherry on top of a bunch of moves. This is like the move. This is
I don't know either, because I mean they have so much stock in like the play style or like their play style is you give the ball to Derrick Henry and he runs.
And then your defense is built around your D line. I mean, you're a trenches kind of team. And I don't have any problem with that theory. In theory, I don't have a problem with it. But like in the NFL, it
doesn't make sense to me.
You need to have if you're gonna do that, then you're not gonna sign DeAndre Hopkins.
Correct.
You're gonna sign, more pieces on the defense, I guess, or you're gonna
on the offensive line
or on the O line, or
Derrick Henry.
I don't really understand. And then the problem also compounds itself, right? Because Derrick Henry is not getting any younger, and while he's still going to be probably pretty productive this year, I think he had a bit of a down year last year, if I'm correct.
He did. Yeah.
Let me check.
I know for sure he had a down year compared to some other years.
Derrick Henry. On Football Reference. I mean, like, he led the league in attempts, but he didn't lead it in yards. He had 13 touchdowns. He was about oh wow, that's not very good at all. He was about 4. Well, actually, that's pretty good. He's about 4.5 yards per attempt. Close to 100 yards a game, which is good. I mean, he finished. He was voted. He was Pro Bowler. He got some votes for MVP, surprisingly, and Offensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year. But again, it's been 2 years since he was an All-Pro, and he's only been an All-Pro once.
Yeah,
and he's coming on to age 29. And look, I hate to say it, but running backs typically don't get past 29 or 30. Usually, once you're at that point, you become Adrian Peterson the later years, where he plays for the Lions. Did you know he played for the Lions?
I did know that, yes.
Yeah, he played 1 year.
Yeah.
I remember there was one run that Adrian Peterson had in it was week 1 or something. And I was like, oh, did we get
a steal?
Adrian is did we steal this? And then
yeah,
he just died. They were like, you know what? We're gonna start using Deandre Swift. That's how long ago that was. That was when Deandre Swift was a rookie.
Wow.
Yeah. As it turns out, Matt Patricia, not a very good coach. He's not very good at this whole coaching business. Don't tell Bill Belichick though. Don't tell him.
No.
It's a secret.
No one has to know.
But yeah, and this, I mean, to talk about Derrick Henry, I don't know if you've really been following. I didn't put any links because there was too much to follow with these running backs getting into this feud now, essentially with the NFL. You had Derrick Henry was one of them. He was tweeting out, stuff basically the NFL doesn't want to pay running backs. I heard this this afternoon. Apparently, running backs across the league are in a group chat, and and they're conversing with what their strategy is, and I'm just like, what? First of all, you're already in a union. Do you know what collective bargaining is? That's what you're doing. You can it doesn't have to be I don't understand what the move is here. And then secondly, it's look, frankly, the business side of things, the position has been devalued. It just has. Teams are not running the ball as much as they did in the 90s. Yep. And that's because of, the rule changes to favor offense over defense, favor passing over running. There's a variety of reasons for it.
But it's true.
I feel sorry for them, right? Because they are putting their body on the line. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, you bought the ticket. Now you gotta get on the ride. I'm sorry, but your position is not really that valued, and it's tough. But you don't deserve. Not every running back or any running back, frankly, deserves what a top wide receiver or certainly a top quarterback makes.
Without a doubt.
The other thing I wanted to point out with you is Austin Eckler has been in a bit of a feud with the Chargers. So I was curious because I don't really follow this that much. What is going on with him? Can you give the people the update?
I actually haven't been following it that much either because much like you, I think that it's, although understandable, somewhat stupid. Because in my opinion, you take say Patrick Mahomes or something.
Right.
And then you take, now granted, the best running back in the league, pick your choice. I think you know who mine is, number 30 for the Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to, but nobody's going to argue with that.
It's you look at what running backs do. Now, the top running backs are in a league of their own, but you have running backs that are in mid-tier, let's say.
Right.
They can, you take a mid-tier running back and a mid-tier quarterback, I still think there's a difference there, and wide receiver wise too.
Right.
There's differences in these tiers of positions. So I don't know. I think it's
I think you made a good point there with the mid-tier quarterback or mid-tier wide receiver, because I think who's a mid-tier wide receiver? I don't know. I mean, I can only go off players that I like. Josh Reynolds for the Lions. He's a mid-tier receiver. He's fine. He usually catches the ball if it's thrown to him, but he's not gonna sway anything.
Yeah.
Who's a mid-tier running back? DeAndre Swift? He's dead. He can't stay healthy. There's it's hard to really find these like, well, I shouldn't say it's hard to find these mid-tier running backs, but it's like
that job is like it's not,
like even if you are a mid-tier, it's like I would just be like uninterested in a mid-tier running back. I would be more like Josh Reynolds. I don't know if he's a free agent soon. I think he might be. I wouldn't like. It's not like I think a lot of teams would be interested in Josh Reynolds adding to their wide receiver room for what I mean, like veteran presence, decent hands, pretty good route running, has experience. Like it's like all these things. Whereas like it's like DeAndre Swift, we traded him for like a draft pick in the 7th round that year, like that while the draft was happening. It was that was what was occurring. And then the other thing that occurred to me when you said that is players like Deebo Samuel, who technically is a running back, but practically is not a
wide receiver.
Back. He's pretty much a wide receiver. And that's also kind of what DeAndre Swift was to the Lions last year. He wasn't getting a lot of handoffs. Well, maybe he was, but he was more so the, dunk and dime running back. And if you can't catch reliably, like a couple of years ago when Jamal Williams was first on the team, he really couldn't catch the ball, but we didn't really have much of a choice at that point.
Well,
and it was like, well, okay, you can sometimes get some decent runs in, but you can't catch the ball, so we can't use you as a passing threat. We can't use you as like a decoy in any way. Like you're not nobody. If people see that you're open, they don't care. Like they'll just double team somebody else. And I think you're gonna see some of that movement towards players that are not strictly handoff running backs, but I mean, you saw the Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the 1st round.
Yeah.
Right? Jahmyr Gibbs at Alabama was pretty much a pass-catching running back. And, say what you will about taking the position at that place. I think the idea that the Lions or that other teams might have had, because that's the other thing people don't want to point out, that there was other teams that actually were interested in Jahmyr Gibbs. That's neither here nor there. Like the idea that you're viewing the position as if you're trying to find the next Barry Sanders. I think people are trying to look for the next Deebo Samuel as opposed to the next Barry Sanders because I mean, low lifespan on the position, and they are a dime a dozen. Like we get like Jamal Williams broke Barry Sanders' single season touchdown record. He led the league in rushing touchdowns with 17. Okay. And we let him walk. We didn't trade him. Well, we couldn't have traded him because he was a free agent. But still, we didn't. It was like we just let him walk, and frankly, our running room is better. It's like, and it sounds crazy to say that, but everybody and their mother would say he's not going to do that again. And why? Well, he went to the Saints. What do the Saints not have? A good offensive line. What do the Lions have? A really good offensive line. So it's like that means to me, and I'm sure you probably think the same thing, that a running back at this stage, a handoff running back, is far more of a product of their O-line than what once was the case in the 90s when you had Barry Sanders and who's the guy for the Cowboys? Why am I blanking on his name? Emmitt Smith? Yes, Emmitt Smith. Smith. All these guys, it's just different than it once was. And I think I feel bad for these running backs because they really want to make a lot of money. But look, I mean, I'm sure the punters want to make a lot of money too. But as teams go for it on 4th down more often than they once did, even that position is going to be more and more devalued. And then you add on to the fact that you probably would see more teams looking for a punter who has the capacity for fakes or something. So if you can't pass decently as a punter, you're not really all that useful, especially if you kick at an average rate. Well, but anyway, you were going to say something. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Yeah, no, something else that I was thinking about too is it goes back into the play style of now. I would be willing to bet a lot of money, maybe not all of my money, but a large sum of it, that most of the play calling, as we've talked about, is passing. So running backs, I'm assuming, are involved more in play action things.
Yeah.
So I'm almost thinking too, running backs that aren't mid-tier running backs, kind of like the average. I don't want to say like you can't say average Joe running backs in the NFL, but
Right.
like you think about that, they are almost a decoy, as you brought up, or just
Yeah.
another body to
block. I mean,
block.
like
That's what they
that was a
do.
part of the
And
reason. Like,
yeah,
plenty of players like they don't get necessarily a lot of carries, but like, I
they're
mean, it
there.
is sort of like the play action is like it's there in so much as they know that you can run at a competent rate. So if your run game is like awful, like who had a really bad run game last year? I don't know off the top of my head.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know. Let's just
Or I couldn't give
say
you an example.
let's just say a random team, the Texans. I don't know.
Probably
let's
so.
just say that
We'll
it's
say
probably
they're
not.
the worst.
It's probably not a bad guess.
Yeah.
If you're the Texans, you're, and again, this is an example for people who might just be
Yeah,
I do not actually know what their rushing stats were, but
still.
if you're a bad rushing team X, we're using the Texans, then a play action is really not that big of a threat because okay, well, we'll let you run, or we'll sort of stand pat to see if you're going to run, and then be able to back off and get onto coverage, whether it's man or
Yeah, absolutely.
like. And I think that was a part of the reason the Lions were so effective was because they had a really good running game, and that meant that the play action was all that more threatening.
Yeah.
And you have that with every team. I mean, like,
For sure.
the Chiefs had a pretty good running game as well. So play action, especially combined with Patrick Mahomes, it's like the position is now basically based on the threat that you could use it, but not that you're always going to use it. And you do more damage in not using it. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
and that actually reminds me of something too, or just bring something up. Quarterbacks. Justin Fields runs. Like you
Patrick
have
Mahomes
quarterbacks.
runs.
Patrick Mahomes runs. Justin Herbert runs somewhat.
Yeah.
It's like quarterbacks now, I'm sure as we get into the future, they get more mobile. Lamar Jackson.
Lamar
They get
Jackson,
more-
yeah.
they
I mean,
get
he's
more
practically
mobile.
a running back who can throw. There's no reason to hand off the ball when you can threat for a pass, and then if that falls apart, okay, I can run for 3 to 4 yards as if you were just going to hand the ball off anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
And so that's the other thing is like, as much as I do agree that the top tier running backs maybe do deserve, like Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, throw out any other name.
was
Those
it
are
Josh
just
Jacobs? He was another one.
Josh Jacobs is another one for the Raiders, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I know
it's
you're
just like,
so sad that Josh
Yeah.
Jacobs might not be back for the Raiders.
Oh,
This is
well.
such a tragedy.
so unfortunate.
No, Josh,
Yeah.
don't sign somebody else. No,
Please,
don't
come back.
I really
Raiders
don't
want
want you
you.
to sit out the season, Josh. We
No.
just really want you to play
Yeah.
here for at the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego.
Yes. But it's like to that point, I understand that they might want to be paid more because they are the top tier running backs. But
Right.
just because you're a top tier running back, it goes for any position really.
Yeah.
Just because you're a top tier, that it's not like a just for me thing. It's got to
Right.
be kind of a league wide thing because you got guys who, again, all NFL running backs are good running backs, but
Right.
the top versus the bottom.
Right.
And you're gonna sit there and be like, these guys are
Yeah.
decoys versus, oh, this guy can run for like, he can get an explosive play and go 75 yards down the field and just get a touchdown.
Right.
You know?
I mean, practically any player, any running back could do that if their O line is good and if the defense
Yeah.
just doesn't read it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no slow
That's
running
for
back.
sure. That's a
right? So like,
hypothetical. Yeah.
there's no slow running back, like as opposed to say a slow wide receiver who can't
Yes.
escape coverage, or a slow quarterback who has
Who can't get out of the
who
pocket.
can't get out of the pocket, can't make passes out of the pocket. Like if you have a quarterback, for example, who can't get out of the pocket, I don't know, like Tom Brady is obviously the pinnacle example, then you need to have good
Yeah.
pocket presence. But if
Yes.
you're a slow running back, there's nothing you can do. Like you can't be a wide receiver. You can't effectively be a wide receiver because you're not going to be able to run routes and escape coverage.
Yep.
You might be able to get some snaps on, screen passes or, dunk and dime for 3 yards, but that's not all that valuable to a team. Like,
No.
okay, yeah, sure, that's great. I'll sign you to a 1-year deal and,
That's
I'll
it.
move on to the next guy.
Yeah.
Like there's not the skill set of being a running back, of, being able to juke and, dive away from guys like Barry Sanders did in the 90s. It's just not what's happening anymore because the offense has been
it's going to air raid mode.
Yeah, it's going into pass mode, and you do more damage on passes, and there's too much risk with the run when it's your like go-to play. Now, obviously, what I imagine some of them would say is like, oh, goal line situation, you need a good running back. It's like, honestly, not really. Like, Jamal Williams is not that good. He's a fine running back. I think Jamal Williams is the perfect example for this, right? Because Jamal Williams, he was released from Green Bay because their running back room is too big. And he was picked up by a terrible Lions team because we need somebody to be on the field.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid in New Orleans for like not that much, but
still.
I guess that's the other thing too, is like, I don't mean to like, I get it when people are trying to play for their money, but it's like, we're talking about the difference of like, oh, am I going to make $1 million or $950,000? It's like, I don't really care what you make because
that's a lot more money than I'll ever see.
Yeah, right. Like, and well, what if they get injured in a freak accident? It's like, well, okay. There's a lot of things that could happen that go wrong. I get it.
Yes.
But again, you bought the ticket, now get on the ride. Like, it's not, I'm sorry that if a team can't say, and there's some, arguments to be made about guaranteed money, and if there should be more guaranteed money, I get it.
Yep.
I'm not a part of the union. Okay. Don't come to me for CBA questions because for one, I don't really care. And for two, I don't have the solutions to any of these problems because they're labor disputes and people within the company are going to have to figure it out.
Yep.
I don't remember where I was going with this. Oh boy.
Ow.
I'm like that guy. Oh, jeez. It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back. I love that guy. That drop will never be funny. Will never not be funny to me.
I mean, it always
anytime.
Yeah, it lives in
anytime I need it. But I mean, I look at this whole running back struggle, and it's like, you guys are too late to the party. It's like you showed up after everybody realized that we actually didn't want you to be here to begin with, right? It's like, it's like you walk into class when the final already happened. And it's like, well, you showed up, I guess, but like, we're already done. Like, we already realized we can just do this without you.
Yeah.
And
I think, there is, who knows, maybe down the line, maybe in a couple years, maybe it switches back to something of the 90s-ish, and the running backs are more valuable than they are now.
Well, because like, I mean, just I'm just off the top of my head, I know that the wide receiver position has changed. It used to be like, you need to be the tallest guy. And now it's like you got some of these pretty short guys, but they're really quick. And it sort of ebbed and flowed historically. I remember I watched a video on this. I believe it was either Set the Edge or KTO, two very good YouTube channels that revolve around football. And they just talked about average height of wide receiver over like at a particular decade. And you have the highs of like Calvin Johnson, who was like 6'8" or something. He's like huge. So he's just taller than every corner. Yeah. And then you have like Tyreek Hill, who's not super tall, but he is the fastest player in football. So these things change. And like I said, I think the most likely thing to happen in the most immediate future is you see more running backs that look like Deebo Samuel. That you can hand them the ball off for short coverage or short gains, and maybe you get a big play because that sometimes happens. But they're pretty much like a slot receiver or like a screen pass guy, and they can make big plays with their moves. But again, they don't really have a long lifespan. I don't know how long Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be on the Lions. I wouldn't expect him to get re-signed unless he is Deebo Samuel. And even then, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what the team is going to be like at that point. That's so far down the line.
Well, it's big what ifs,
Yeah.
But I think more than likely it's going to be running backs, like you're saying, are going to more Deebo Samuel type players. And then who knows, maybe eventually the pendulum.
Deebo's a fun player.
Yeah, the pendulum could swing back, and then you're looking at running backs that need to be more like Barry Sanders.
I'm here for either of these. And like, I guess like ultimately to try to wrap this up, it's like every time I don't like to be the like players stop complaining, but it's like I've never heard a player that was like. It's always like after they get paid, they're always like super thankful, which I get it, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't make any sense, but it's always like, when something's not going their way, everything's down and against me. It's like, dude, like I'm gonna be honest, like stop complaining. Like you're playing, you're one of the most privileged people in the world right now. You have the opportunity, you have the talent, you won the genetic lottery. You're an NFL professional football player. I mean, like, if it was me and I could just return punts, that would be great. And I can make, I don't know, like $500,000 a year. Because it's like, who's the lowest paid NFL player? Like, what are they making? Like $300,000?
Let's look at the NFL minimum contract here.
Yeah, because like league minimum is
2021 season. Oh, wait. The minimum salary is slated to rise to $750,000 in 2023.
Hey, I'll take it. I mean, if they don't want it, I'll take it. I'll come in. I'll catch fair catches. Although I don't know. I probably would drop those. I'm not gonna lie. It's really hard. Like this is a total tangent, but like catching a football like in a punch scenario where you're just like try to get under it, it's a lot harder than it looks because they've done it. Whatever, they've been doing it since they're like 5 years old or
sure,
like, so they've been doing it and they can just whatever. They know exactly where it's gonna land.
Yeah,
and they're fine.
Yep.
But like, if you're just like me, if you're just like a dude, and you see how high these punts go, it's like for one, you got to find the ball, and then when you find the ball, you got to get under the ball, and then when you get under the ball, you got to be able to catch the ball and not have it bounce right off your chest or off your hands, and have a defender who's going to be right in front of you, steal it away, and then oopsie daisy, you just gave up a possession.
Yeah.
So yeah, punting, very very difficult.
It is true,
but
yeah.
That's all the football talk I have. Other than this quarterbacks documentary, I just find fascinating. Yeah, and the problem I have with it, and this is both a fake problem and a real problem, is that I start to feel bad for Kirk Cousins, and I don't like that because I have to beat Kirk Cousins this year, but I want to beat him really bad. Like I want to make him upset about losing to us, but then I'm like, but he's like a nice guy.
Yeah,
I don't want to make him sad, and his wife's really sweet, and he's got 2 little boys, and
MSU alumni,
and he's MSU alumni. I mean, like that part, it's like like obviously I have that element of respect for him, but it's like I kind of wanted to not like you, and you probably if you ever end up watching it, you'll probably feel the same way about Patrick Mahomes, where like the guy is for one a menace to you, but then also like he just has this a total dog mentality. Like he just goes to work and he knows he's good, and his commitment to his physical shape. I think his commitment to his wife and his two kids is really admirable. The other thing, okay, so I don't really like to talk about like the social media aspect of the game, mostly because I'm not really in it. But I am aware that there's a large sector of people that really don't like Patrick Mahomes' wife. And I can understand why, but I'm like, yeah, I don't like she's not like a terrible person. She's just very, I don't know. Like she's just like got like this, it's not nails on a chalkboard exactly, but it's like you just are like, okay, I know what kind of person you are, right? Like you're just like she's like the stereotypical cheerleader.
Yep.
Like she's very.
Here's a question.
Question. Yes.
Is Jackson Mahomes in this documentary?
No, at least not up until the first 7 episodes. He could be in the last episode. I think I might have seen him, but he doesn't say anything. They don't interview him. He's never on a microphone.
Thank God.
The other thing that's also kind of funny, slightly unrelated to anything in the documentary, they really curse a lot, like a lot more than I was like anticipating. Well, because like normally it's like you only hear them talk in interviews post game where they're not allowed to swear, or they're talking on live television where you're not allowed to swear. And then like when it's on Netflix or on HBO, I mean that was another thing. I mean it was similar on HBO where it's like I just hear Dan Campbell dropping F-bombs, and it's like, okay, that's like it's like shocking a little bit, but it's like then I just think it's like, well, these are like, I was thinking about this today because I was watching one of the episodes at work, as I do. And it's like these really are the most competitive people on planet Earth. Like to the point where it's like they were showing the episode. It was relatively early in the season when Patrick Mahomes was kind of beefing a little bit with Max Crosby of the Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
And they got into a little bit of a argument or whatever. And like I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable because they're really yelling at each other. And then by the end, they're like, hey, yo, bro, have good luck this season. Hey, everything's all good.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's all it is.
It's like, I'm like, I kind of admire that because it's like, and I feel like it's like this in pretty much every league where, guys will get in each other's face and they'll get all upset and they'll want to, hurt you in that moment. But it's like, you're in this like hyper competitive moment. And then there was also like a moment where like, it was later in the season when they played the Raiders and Crosby got called for a penalty where he like knocked Jackson Mahomes. I hope. Well, maybe if he did, if he knocked Jackson Mahomes, I didn't even see it. I don't know what happened, but he knocked Patrick Mahomes in the back of the helmet. And it was called like unnecessary roughness or whatever. And he was like going up there. He's like, "Oh man, I was going for the ball. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." I was like, "This is like,
yeah."
I mean, it's like, it's sort of expected because like these are just regular people, and I guess in our mind, we just see them as kind of video game characters, in a sense, because like people play Madden, people, you don't hear what they're saying on the field, most of the time, and when you do, it's like you don't really see the whole thing. It's like it's formulated in such a way, which is why I really like this, was because a lot of it was unedited. It was just sort of watching the footage, and then they just
talked about it,
which is really cool. But yeah, I would recommend it.
That's interesting. I might have to start watching it tonight then.
It's funny though because it just happens to feature two quarterbacks who are division rivals to us.
Yeah,
and it's like apparently there's also a season 2 that's going to be coming. So I don't know. This is not on the show sheet. Now we're just talking. Like, who are some quarterbacks that you think would be cool to see on this show? I mean, obviously, we're both biased. I would like to see Jared Goff. You would like to see Justin Herbert. But outside of our guys,
that is true.
Who are some quarterbacks that would be very interesting? Because the three featured, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota. So it can't be those three.
Right. That's a good question. I don't know who
I got one that I think you would like. Well, sort of. I don't know how you would feel. What about Derek Carr?
Maybe.
I think that'd be pretty interesting.
Maybe.
Had some time with the Raiders, didn't really go well, showed some glimmers, and now he's with a different team, first time in his career.
I thought of one. I'd like to see Jameis Winston, because that guy is a complete Goomba.
That would be funny.
That's why it could be a comedy.
Yeah, right. Is he even a starter anymore?
I don't think so. I don't even know what team he's on right now.
Well, he was on the Saints, but now Derek Carr is on the Saints. He might still be on the Saints, he might be a free agent. Maybe he's on the Rams. What about Geno Smith?
Maybe.
I think that would be pretty interesting.
Geno Smith could be interesting.
Jameis
Winston is still on the Saints.
He is still on the Saints?
Allegedly so.
I mean, he's probably on the bench.
Yeah, he'll sit behind Derek Carr, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I think there's a lot of routes they can go with it, and then the other thing I was pondering, just while I was enjoying this, is like, could they do this for other positions? Could you have, wide receiver? Could you have?
Yeah.
I mean, like to some degree, I would imagine there would be some like drop off of interest. Like, I don't know how many people would really be interested in like offensive tackle.
Probably not.
Although I don't know though, like the way these are produced, it's like, well, who knows about the offensive tackle? Like who?
Nobody.
Like, I mean,
except for the players.
Yeah, right. Except for the players, and then if you like the team, you probably know some of your offensive linemen. Like, I'm pretty sure Penny Sewell is an offensive tackle. I'm pretty sure. Like, but
Rashawn Slater, left tackle.
Okay, there you go. Like, I guess I know Rashawn Slater, but like, who is the offensive tackle for the Cardinals? I have no clue.
No idea.
He could be right here. He could be next to me. He could walk into my apartment right now. I wouldn't know it was him.
Oh no.
So, yeah.
But
I feel like running back. I mean, we're
running back?
just talking about running back. That might be interesting.
Yeah, wide receiver.
And I kind of joke like kicker might actually be kind of interesting because it's such a weird job, right? Like your only role is to kick, and it's like a super high stress where when you make your kicks, pretty much nobody talks about you, unless it's a game winner.
Yep.
But if you miss your kick, you are
Everyone
public
talks
enemy
about
number
you.
one. Everybody hates you. You suck. I never want to see you kick again. You need to be cut from the team. You're the worst. It's like, that's a big, shift.
It's two sides.
So I don't know. I feel like maybe that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Like maybe like Justin Tucker. Come on, his life's got to be crazy.
Oh yeah.
This is the mechanical leg.
I know.
Is Matt Prater still in the league? Or is he dead?
He might be dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now he's dead.
I was looking for that drop.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah. That's a lot of NFL.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this training camp. Mostly because it's the time when peak just total bias reporting comes out about every player is the new greatest player. It's the same. I mean, they were doing it with OTAs,
Yeah.
Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
I'll just make fun of the Lions for a little bit. Like Sam Laporta looks real good, and it's like, yeah, they're not wearing pads, guys. They're basically playing backyard football. I'm not gonna take much out of this. There's literally no pressure. Like in terms of football, there is no pressure. Like they are not coming at the quarter. It's neither here nor there.
It's not important.
Yeah. So training camp, there's always interesting things, and then there's also, unfortunately, injuries that come out, and that's going to be news. Because with injuries comes signings, and with signings comes desperate signings. So you might see some of these. I mean, honestly, like we still don't know where Teddy Bridgewater is. Right? He hasn't been signed. He could be signed by the end of training camp if some quarterback, I don't know, he slips down the stairs, falls down, and he just ow.
That exact thing.
It's never not going to be. He could get hit by a foul ball.
Yeah.
Ow. There's an 80-year-old man getting hit by a foul ball.
Yeah.
And we're laughing. He's fine. It's okay. We can laugh. He's not hurt.
It's fine.
He finished the game.
That's all that matters.
He finished calling the game. He got hit by a foul ball in the head. And he's just like, I guess I just finished calling the game. I mean, there was one out, but whatever. Speaking of baseball, or do you want to talk about this Dan Snyder blackmail PowerPoint? Because I kind of want to talk about that.
We could.
All right, let's.
I actually don't want to talk about the MLB, but I know we have to.
That's fair. So, okay. NBC News reporting. Dan Snyder reportedly used quote-unquote blackmail PowerPoints to lessen initial NFL punishment.
I'm actually going to be looking at this because
I'm okay. This is amazing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I quote, "What was presented was not a defense against any of attorney Beth Wilkinson's findings made against Snyder. It was a series of screenshots and potentially embarrassing emails and texts from several top league executives, including Commissioner Roger Goodell's top lieutenant, Jeff Pash," the article explains. The rationale, according to a source with firsthand knowledge, was to argue the hypocrisy of league officials judging Snyder. The tactics were so ruthless that I can't even read this without laughing. That some attorneys felt uncomfortable. Although none of the content was sexist, anti-gay, or graphic, the signal was clear. If Goodell didn't do what Snyder wanted in terms of handling the Wilkinson report and punishment, these emails and texts would be leaked. Dan Snyder came in and said,
"I'm so sick of these people." You know,
he just came in and he just said, I am here, and I am. Remember that time when you called that woman and you said you would eat 13 coconuts just for 13 seconds with that girl alone? Do you remember that? And do you remember that one time when you were in Hawaii and you talked to that waitress and you said, "I'll give you $45 for 45 minutes"? Do you remember that, Roger? And it kind of worked.
And you know what's going to happen to Dan Snyder now?
Hold on. Well, that too. He might also die. He's
going to be taken out by the Roger Goodell Mafia.
They're just going to snipe him in the middle of the night.
It's like
gonna be shot.
It's so stupid.
I saw this art. I was like, oh, this is news. This is funny.
So stupid.
I can't believe he had a PowerPoint set. He went here's how did this happen? Right? So he's probably like, okay, here's what I need you all to do. I need you to go through my emails, go through my texts, and I need you to find this, and that. And then go on to Microsoft PowerPoint, which presumably is being funded by the league, right? So Office 365 is not free.
No.
So presumably he's using essentially league funds to create a PowerPoint to present it. I can't. This is the funniest story of the year for me.
It's so stupid.
They go into a meeting and they're like, "Oh, so what are you going to present your defense, Mr. Snyder?" And he's like, "Well, actually,
allow
I'm
me."
so sick of these people. You know. Oh,
that's right, Stephen A. That's exactly what he is sick of these people. And he said, "You are all a bunch of hypocrites." And you know what? Obviously, Dan Snyder is a horrible person, but he's kind of right? These people are kind of hypocrites.
Somewhat.
You know, obviously the NFL, they were doing a lot of shady stuff with hiding concussions and with, all sorts of things historically. You have bad owners who essentially are just why are the Browns, not the team, the owners of the Bengals, they have their team practicing on not their own facility that they paid for. They're playing on a college practice facility in University of Cincinnati because they're so cheap that they don't want to give them an actual practice. And that's not illegal, so to speak. But all of these NFL owners, when they do punish Snyder, who should be punished, and obviously he's no longer going to be the owner of the team. But why did they get off scot-free for essentially, malpractice from their business perspective? And then even you had what's his name, Patriots dude, getting special massages, and all he got was basically he had a year off, essentially.
You gotta ask Deshaun Watson about that one, I guess. I mean,
that's another. It's these owners can basically just say, you know what, I know I'm never gonna be held accountable. So
I'm just gonna.
So I'm gonna do what I want.
Yep.
And Dan Snyder sort of took it to the extreme in a sense, right? Dan Snyder acted in accordance with the reality of the NFL, which is if you're an owner, you can basically do what you want. And frankly, sometimes if you're a player, you can sometimes just do what you want. If you're good enough, the NFL's the cost benefit analysis of you playing and having some bad publicity versus you not playing and having some good publicity, it's actually better to have the bad publicity and you play because more people are going to watch, more people are going to buy tickets, more people are going to buy jerseys. Case in point, Deshaun Watson.
Simple.
Most people, when Deshaun Watson came back, that was probably the most viewed Browns-Texans game of the season.
Yep.
And he played terribly. He didn't have to play good. Just the fact that he was on the team and the fact that you'll have, inevitably, Browns fans buy the jersey, they buy the merch. He is a figure for the Browns to make money. People talk about the Browns. They write articles about the Browns. We're talking about the Browns. It's
a whole circle.
There is a structure in the NFL that inevitably creates an incentive for you to just sort of ignore bad behavior and to, especially given there's a certain threshold of talent where you're allowed to, misbehave.
And then
there's also a certain threshold of how badly you misbehave. So you can't be Aaron Hernandez. You can't kill a guy. That's not going to work because you'll go to jail.
Yeah.
You also can't be Michael Vick and run a dogfighting ring because you'll also go to jail.
Yes.
But if you, get into some altercation with some massage therapist, it's he said, maybe you punch a guy in Las Vegas, that's probably a 6-week suspension.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams gambles at a team hotel. That's about 6 weeks. Deshaun Watson commits serial sexual assault. I don't know, maybe about 7 weeks, maybe 9. Hey, look, they're playing the Texans that week. Isn't that crazy?
Well, let's line it up with that.
Yeah. So I found that to be hysterical. just because it is
so
it's so on brand. It's so ridiculous, but it is like
it's so funny.
The thing
it's
about
stupid.
Dan Snyder, like I do not like Dan Snyder. Do not get it twisted. But what I will say that I like about Dan Snyder is just that he really doesn't care. Like he is so adamant about being bad, like about just being a toxin to the NFL that he will, throw in these poison pills. I mean, like the whole who was the coach that got fired? The Raiders coach, who his name escapes me right now. It's not Roger Goodell.
No.
Why am I blanking on his name? He had the emails leaked where he called Roger Goodell an anti-football P word.
Yes.
I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh.
Josh McDaniels, since that's
not Josh McDaniels. John Gruden. John Gruden. So they're investigating Dan Snyder, and John Gruden gets fired. Like that whole thing. It's like, oh well, we happen to find some, emails where he said things that were somewhat, unbecoming, I guess. And so we're gonna fire him, even though we're investigating this other guy. And I remember it was like he was suing, and I don't know if that's made any like headway or if there's any update on that. I haven't heard anything.
I forgot John Gruden even existed, so it's
he was a goofball.
He was an odd guy. He was something. But the whole situation with Dan Snyder, it's just like so funny. It's just so stupid.
Yeah, right. It's like I'm laughing because I can't be like
so
angry.
Dumb.
Like this is sort of my general, like you have to really upset me to make me like vitriolically angry. Like I just sort of laugh at a lot of these things because I'm just like, well, they're just it's like they're openly showing us who they are. So I'm just like, all right, fine, I believe you. I mean, the Spanos family, they just said, we're leaving San Diego. Why? Because F you. That's why. We don't want to be in San Diego.
That's exactly
we want to be in LA. Like, that was pretty much the reason. And isn't it, I don't know that much, but isn't it like the brother and the sister are having a feud or something? Like
it was something along those lines. It's like going on now or something. Yeah, it's just
still
so
angry.
Yeah.
Like, what a great class of people we have running our organization.
Yeah.
There's like,
I love sports.
How many like really good owners are there in the NFL? Like, owners that I'm like, okay, I can generally speaking kind of trust you in some sense.
Maybe on like one hand, maybe somewhere between 1 and 5.
I'm just thinking of like
I couldn't get
championship winning teams. I don't maybe the Steelers ownership. I don't even know.
That's the thing.
I mean,
it's like
they had the whole Ben Roethlisberger thing. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like it's like.
You can't,
I mean,
it's hard to judge.
This is gonna sound weird, but the Fords, there really hasn't been a major Lions controversy as far as a player goes. Mostly because our players have been bad enough that even if they did something bad, it really wouldn't have. It would have actually benefited the team. In some
That's
sense.
true. Yes.
And like they usually don't say anything offensive. So
yeah.
They're not. If they're not saying the only time
they're not gambling, then it's fine.
Yeah, it's like exactly. The only time they'll say something offensive is like if they say like they something stupid, like like something like I don't know, like when Martha Ford said she loved Jim Caldwell and then proceeded to fire him.
Yeah, she's like, get your ass.
Oh wow, yeah. She's Martha. She's like 1,000 years old. She's not running the team anymore. Her daughter is. Sheila seems like a nice person, I guess.
Well, that's good.
But like nobody knows. Nobody knows who these people are most of the time.
Dan Snyder does.
But Dan Snyder does. He has all the texts. That's the
He's
other.
Got it on a PowerPoint.
Can we get this PowerPoint? Like, is this private information?
Awesome.
Like, I am fully aware that a lot of this is probably never going to come out. But like, what about in like 50 years? Like, all of the owners currently will be dead, so
That's
any
true.
dirt on them will not matter. Probably,
and then it's just like an NFL history capsule.
Like literally, all of the Goodell will not be the commissioner because he'll probably be dead.
Yeah,
and most of the players that are playing now will be like 100, or close to very old. Like anything they could have said at this particular time it would be totally irrelevant. It would just be like, oh, this is kind of a crazy thing in history. So
You're
there
true.
has to be
Yeah,
a
it's
point.
true.
So I am imploring the NFL. I'm imploring Sheila Hempford. If people can get this video to her, because she probably has some influence, we need to get this PowerPoint. If I can just have it privately, I won't release it. I promise. On God, on the Lord and the Holy Family in heaven, I will not release this. But I just want to see what's in it. I really do.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that either. That's the
because
thing.
it's fascinating. Like, did he have special transitions? Was it like page flip? And look, there's a naked photo of a woman.
Do you think he used like a cube transition into something
it's
like that?
No, it's like the paper crumbles, and then there's just Roger Goodell's penis, just
and then there's
out
that.
in the open, and just right there, just.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
just
and then
like,
it's just
cut to the next
transition,
scene, and it's Sheila Ford sending sexual messages to Dan Campbell.
Oh my God!
There's so much going on.
There's so much. I need to see this. I need to see the PowerPoint.
I mean, I think everyone does. I don't see how it's not entertainment for all. Unless, of course, you're underage. Which,
well, yeah, if you're underage,
Dan Snyder's PowerPoint might be inappropriate.
Yeah, hopefully nobody involved is like a minor. Assuming it's sexual related, I guess if you just said if you just called a 14-year-old a stupid idiot head, that wouldn't really be nice. But I don't know that it's prosecutable.
No, I don't think so.
But speaking of things that I need to prosecute with myself, so very briefly, I want to talk about this because there was a report that yet another Bojan Bogdanovic trade did not work out.
Very nice.
And I am of the opinion at this point that this player is untradeable. Like, he doesn't have a no trade clause because he is the no trade clause. Like he is unable to be traded. This is like the third time that I've heard that he's going to be traded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? And the worst part was, like, I looked at the trade and it looked pretty good. It was so.
Why don't you say it to me, Mike? Let's hear it.
League sources say the talks were sturdy enough to discuss a potential trade framework. Bogdanovic and Killian Hayes coming to Dallas for Tim Hardaway Jr. and JaVale McGee.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
I would love that. We have an expiring contract and a bum, and we get Tim Hardaway Jr. and another bum, I guess. Is JaVale McGee, he's not good, is he?
Why are you disrespecting JaVale McGee?
He good?
Oh, he's super good. Yeah.
He's very not good, Seth. How could you lie to me like that?
Yeah.
He's a 3-time NBA champion somehow.
That's what I'm saying.
Was he on the board? Okay, yeah, that's what it was. I was like, how did he win 3 and then he was on the Lakers? Okay, understood.
Yeah. Big integral roles on all those teams. I'm just saying.
As in, like, what? He like got the players water?
Yes.
Okay, but Tim Hardaway Jr. That would have been great. I like Tim Hardaway Jr.
He's pretty good.
He's fine. Like, he's shooting guard, small forward is what he's listed as. 14 points a game. He would have been fine.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, he's a little old, but like he would have been fine. Like, whatever. Like, like, why can't we trade this guy? I'm not asking for much. I know that he's not like superly valuable to people. Like he's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like we just can't trade him. I don't know.
Nope.
I just thought that was an interesting story. What do you think?
Well, has no effect on me. As you know, I'm not a business fan. I mean,
could we trade him to the Bucks? What would you give up for Bojan Bogdanovic?
That's a great question. You want a couple more draft picks?
I mean, well, we could use them.
Yeah, well.
But I probably want a player.
Let's see. Who would I give up on the Jay Crowder?
I'd consider it.
Maybe.
Although the only problem is Jay Crowder can't shoot from 3. So we'd lose a 3 shooter.
That's debate. He's not super consistent. Ish.
As in, like, he can put the ball in the air and sometimes it'll go in.
True.
Yeah, I guess that much is true about Jay Crowder.
But you have Joe Harris now for your 3s.
Although, actually, last year he was 43% from 3.
Probably not in a whole lot of attempts, but still, that's
now in his career he's 34%. But that is details that do not need to be included.
That's on a need to know basis, and you don't.
And also, he was 6 points a game. All right, maybe I wouldn't want Jay Crowder for Bogdanovic.
He didn't play that much. Now, if you play him,
he did only play 18 games, but he didn't play those 18 games based on his stats. He had a triple single.
Hey, maybe if you play him a little bit more in Detroit, he'll do
You
good
know,
for
he
you guys.
probably would. Yeah, he would probably get a lot of playing time in Detroit, but I don't know that it really would be that much of a benefit.
Yeah, well,
Plus, is he okay? He's a power
we
player.
don't know until we do it. So why don't we get in touch with each
What
of our
about
teams'
what about Drew Holiday? Can we
no,
get Drew Holiday? Okay.
no,
Um,
not unless
what about Giannis's brother?
that'd be fine with me. But we would just
All right,
lose our
fine.
number one
Giannis's
cheerleader.
brother, as well as Giannis.
Yeah,
For,
I think
for
we could do that.
Bogdanovich. I think
Yep.
that's a good deal. Yeah,
I think that's fair.
like
That's never gonna. Giannis is never playing ever in
It's like
Detroit.
it's like
I can't.
The if he plays for Detroit, it'll be like Allen
10
Iverson
years
playing
down
for
the road?
Detroit. It'll be like when it's like we win a championship, we look like we might be able to do something, and then we're gonna trade Cade Cunningham for Giannis, and Giannis will be like 100 by then. It'll be like 45.
And I can't imagine him either playing for another team other than the Bucks. But if they don't do
Right.
anything this year, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to leave. And then I have to be a fan of that team. So.
No, that's not how this works. You're a Bucks fan. We can't.
No, I would be a Bucks fan, and then also on the side a fan of.
See, this is something that always confuses me because I'm not a player fan. I'm a team fan.
Yeah.
So what happens then? What is the priority structure? So Bucks
Still
versus.
the Bucks.
Okay, so let's say Bucks versus I don't know Portland Trailblazers. I don't know. I just thought of a Western Conference team championship. Okay. Who are you rooting for? Bucks.
Yes.
Okay, assuming Giannis is on the Trailblazers. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm rooting
if that wasn't clear.
But it's a win-win for me either way.
Right.
Okay. But I'm still rooting for the Bucks because even though I am a Bucks fan based on a player,
right,
I am now
you've adopted. Yeah, right. I mean that makes sense, right?
It's much like for soccer, even though we don't go into soccer since some of us on this podcast. Yeah. My favorite player growing up was on my favorite team currently, and they've remained my favorite team for.
Was it Pele?
No,
I think
I'm not that old, Mike. I'm not that old.
For everyone who knows, Seth is younger than me. So that was a joke that didn't really make any sense from a joke perspective. I know about Pele
because
didn't he die recently?
He did. But you were around when he was born, so
that's fair.
That's the thing. Yeah. But yeah, so to answer your question very long-windedly, yes, I would be still a Bucks fan as far as prioritizing goes. But say Giannis went to some other team, I would also support that team.
All right, Giannis to the Pistons. Here we go.
Keep dreaming, buddy.
I don't think we'll ever. I think. I mean, just knowing the Pistons historically, we will never get a player like that. The last time we had a player like that was, I guess, Isaiah Thomas. He's the last. He was the last, I would say, true superstar to play for Detroit. I guess Joe Dumars as well. And Grant Hill is hard. Grant Hill is hard because he's a Hall of Famer and he was fantastic in Detroit, but injuries just totally derailed his career.
Mm-hmm.
And he never won anything with us. He was on the team during some of our worst years, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Isaiah Thomas is probably
definitely the best Piston to ever play. But then, I mean, Joe Dumars has a case. I mean, Dennis Rodman, I guess, but
he was on the Bad Boys.
He was on the Bad Boys. Bill Lambier, he was great.
Oh, that guy. Yeah,
the white guy, basically. That's how you can identify him. But other than Isaiah is the clear cut. Yes. The rest of them is I guess you can kind of make an argument. Joe Dumars is honestly at this point known more as an executive than he probably was as a player, because he really wasn't he was obviously a part of the Bad Boys, but he wasn't
the focal point.
Well, he wasn't. I don't want to say he wasn't a bad boy, but he wasn't like Bill Lambier, right? He wasn't like Dennis Rodman.
He wasn't trying to actually kill Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right. He was just really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can talk about the Bad Boys maybe when we really have a slow news day.
That's true.
But we're gonna wrap it up with some baseball.
Yes.
Specifically, before we get into our team's weekly update, because therapy. Gotta talk about Shohei because he is on everybody's mind as far as trades. Two teams already out on him, at least according to reports, and that's your Padres for some reason. And the Dodgers, which surprises me as well.
Yes.
So again, these are just reports. I don't know that these are actually true in any way. I think it was John Heyman was reporting on it. If it wasn't John Heyman, I'm sorry. I'm my mistake. But the thing that really caught me is this article written by Aaron Walsh. Shohei Ohtani trade rumors. Angels want, quote, multiple top 100 type prospects in any deal. And it made me think, how many? Because this is the greatest player arguably ever. And not a lot of teams have a lot of top 100 prospects. And the teams that do are probably not even that good, right? Because just the nature of how farm systems work and all that stuff. But like, how many? You're the GM of the Padres. Let's just say you have a bunch of top 100 prospects. How many prospects are you giving up for Shohei?
That's the thing. It's like, I don't know.
I don't know either. Like,
because it's a game. Well, what it is
you're getting two players essentially.
Yeah, it's a gamble that obviously the Padres of San Diego and the Dodgers of Los Angeles do not want to gamble on because their teams, But I'm baffled by it though, because for one, there is no losing with getting Shohei. Like, say you trade your prospects and one of them ends up being really good. Well, who cares? You have Shohei Ohtani, who is really good. Like, it's not like, it's not like you're trading for like, I don't know, like a relief pitcher at the deadline or something. And like, that can go either way. It's like you are trading for what I would argue to be the most like instantly effective, I mean, the best baseball player ever for one, but then also like it is, I would say, arguably impossible to fail. Like if you don't win, well, okay, I guess that's a failure in a sense, but you have a really good baseball player now. And also he's going to be a free agent. So say like let's say you trade some prospects and he's just terrible. I don't know, he forgets how to play baseball. It could happen.
The aliens from Space Jam come in and they steal his talent.
Yeah, you don't know.
But like, that's not going to happen because it's just not how baseball players typically work. And it's also Shohei freaking Ohtani. Like, this isn't, you're not trading for, I don't know, who's like a borderline player. Like, trying to think of like you're not trading for like Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton, when he's playing, is like fine, I guess. But like,
he's just there.
You're not giving up the farm for Byron Buxton. You might be giving up the farm for, essentially like, that's the other thing that it's difficult to calculate is you are basically trading for two players at the price of one in some sense, like, because he can pitch and he can hit. So you're getting a DH and you're getting a pitcher. Like, so it's, and I just
something here that I was maybe coming into considerations for these GMs. As far as prospects go, you're probably looking younger guys.
Obviously.
Shohei. Now, granted, baseball players last, a little bit longer. But in most sports, when you see Shohei's age being 29 years old,
that is a concern. The 30s are, it can be concerning. But say his hitting goes down. Yeah, say his hitting goes down though. Pitchers typically can last longer. For one, they're playing less games. So like, okay, he stops hitting well. Okay, well, we still have basically a Cy Young pitcher. Like Justin Verlander. Well, he's not having a great year, but whatever. Justin Verlander just last year was a Cy Young winner. Like, you have him. Like, you still have a really good pitcher, and like, there's not. I don't see what's so bad about that. Did Spencer Torkelson just slap a freaking home run? Oh, I love to see that. He just destroyed that baseball.
Very nice.
Oh my gosh. 2-run blast for Torquay. 13th of the year. Good to see.
Very nice.
Ow! Some random Kansas City Royals fan just got smoked. Ow. Hey, anybody want a hot dog? Ow! Knocked by a freaking moonshot. He got all over that ball. Wow. Also, this is slightly unrelated. So, did you hear the Padres? Well, this is older news, but the Padres are no longer on Bally Sports because,
Really?
Bally Sport. Well, Diamond is like bankrupt apparently,
Oh.
and so the MLB was like, "Well, you're not having the games anymore." So, I guess to watch Padres games, it's like on MLB Network, or like you could stream it through.
Really?
I'm like, huh,
That's
well, that's
interesting.
weird.
Yeah.
But like my
'cause-
thought was like, and it just recently happened to the Diamondbacks as well, and the Tigers also play on Bally Sports. There's
Yeah.
still a few other teams. I know the Rays, the Angels, the Royals, obviously the Tigers. Like a good amount of teams still play on Bally Sports.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
We'll see if the Tigers are going to still be on Bally Sports by the end of the season.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
they're just trying to move like these bigger teams to MLB Network or something, and they're
I
trying to
don't
get
know
more
because
marketing
like
there.
my thing is my biggest problem with Bally Sports is not necessarily the production value is give or take. I mean, you basically
Yeah.
have the same people from
Yeah.
when it was Fox Sports.
Mhm.
But like it's just like the app is kind of annoying because it buffers a lot. And unlike I have YouTube TV and
Mhm.
Bally Sports is not on YouTube TV, even though obviously I live in Michigan. Like I
So
should be in the
you're
market for it. Like I
Yeah.
get Big Ten Network because I live in Michigan and you get Big Ten Network.
Well, of course.
And I get that through YouTube TV. Whereas, the local, and it sucks because the Pistons, the Red Wings, and the Tigers all play most of their games on Bally Sports. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can watch it. Like I can log into my family's cable, but it's like I'm not gonna get cable and then have to pay extra to get
Yeah.
Bally Sports. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Money grab would
um,
be my answer.
that's we're gonna leave that right there.
Okay.
Shohei, I think
Is worth.
if he gets traded, which is, I mean, still technically speaking up in the air,
Mhm.
I think it will be the biggest trade in baseball history. I think we're talking about upwards of 5 prospects. Like 5 baseball players are going to be moved for 1 baseball player. And not 5 like scrubs. It's going to be 5
Like-
players that if you're a fan of the team, you're probably familiar with them. Like to use the Tigers example, if the Tigers were to trade for him, which they won't, it'll be like Justin Henry Malloy, Cole Keith, like all of our top prospects essentially
Are going bye-bye.
are going bye-bye to get Shohei. But the
Yes.
thing is, though, I think this is that is just the tip of the iceberg for the Shohei stuff. Because he gets traded, okay, fine, whatever.
Yep.
This offseason with free agency, he's going to get like $1 billion. He's going to get the biggest contract ever. Because again, you're paying for 2 players for the price of 1. Like,
Mhm.
there's really no...
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of loss. Like, if he sucks at hitting, he'll pitch. If he sucks at pitching, he can still
He's
hit.
gonna
Like, it's
smack
like you
60
don't
home runs a year.
you don't have. There's, it would have to be an astronomical level of failure for him to just fall apart.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm surprised, like I said, about the Padres just basically saying we're not interested. And I mean,
Mhm.
to be fair to the Padres, they don't really have the prospects to get the deal done.
Yeah.
I think if they're going to get him, it would have to be in free agency. And I suspect they would be in the bidding. I mean, obviously they're paying a lot of money now, so they might as well just double down.
Yeah, why not?
And, team needs offense, right? What better way to get offense than the best hitter in baseball?
Don't have to tell me about it.
Yeah, and obviously it wouldn't really be that much of a change for him. He'd be in California, and I'm assuming he has family here, or is his family still living in Japan? I'm not
That's a
totally
good
sure.
question. I don't know.
But either way, like if his family is
Anaheim's
here, or his
only an
family is
hour
in
and a half
Japan,
away.
yeah, right. Is it really?
Just about, yeah.
It's an hour and a half flight to get to Japan from California.
Oh, no, not from Japan to. I said Anaheim.
Oh, I was like,
No.
what? The ocean is big.
Yeah,
How
I
fast are
think-
these planes going?
I actually
Okay.
have no idea how long the flight from Japan to like San
That's gotta
Diego
be
or
pretty
LA would
long,
be.
right? You're going across the ocean.
Let's see.
I feel like that's a whole day.
Let's see.
The Pacific Ocean is big, Seth.
It is. I
Yeah,
lived on it for a little while, or
What?
near it.
Oh, it's like you didn't live in Hawaii.
I wish.
Don't we all?
That's nonstop flights to. Okay, let's see.
I'm guessing 3 hours at most. or at least.
Okay, I was gonna say at most you're gonna
if you're
yeah.
pedal to the metal, like you're going on like a I don't know a supersonic jet, probably get there in 3 hours. But
According to this,
commercial flight's got to be like 10 hours, right?
just about 10 hours. It's about 10 to 11 hours.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's basically a whole day flight, and then also it's weird because you're like losing / gaining time. Like it's weird.
Yeah,
Japan is like 12 hours ahead, I think.
I believe so.
So it's like it's the morning for them.
Yes.
Interesting. Time zones are weird.
They are.
But we got to wrap up the show here. Obviously, again, slow news day. I'm sorry, people.
Oh, well.
It's this week in baseball. What's been going on with the Padres, Seth? Tell me what's going on. Tell the people.
We're still dog shite. Next.
Up next,
Next
the
question.
Tigers. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about the Tigers.
Yeah.
Because they came out of the All-Star break and they came out looking for blood. Stole
Very
2 out
nice.
of 3 from the Mariners.
Mhm.
They had a comeback win last night against the Royals, and right now they're beating the Royals. See, we talked about this either on the air or off the air. Like the Tigers had like not won a game since we started the show. Like on the day that and it's like
Yeah.
maybe they'll win this game.
Who knows?
So I mean, look, Tigers. There's not a whole lot to say about the team itself, other than I've heard it described the Tigers this year are like a bad rash. They just keep coming back. Right when you think they're done, they lose 9 straight or they get beaten by the A's, then they throw a no-hitter.
They come back.
Then they take 2 out of 3 from the Mariners on the road. Then they make a comeback win against the Royals on the road. It's like I can't make sense of it, and I don't think they're winning enough to where they could make the division title. But they're at least like last year this time season was already over. We were not in contention. It was basically just like who's getting traded or is Alavila gonna get fired? Spoiler alert, yes.
Yeah.
I think he did run a trade. That's right, he did. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. This is fascinating to me about any ownership. Like they would come to the decision they were going to fire someone probably like I would assume months, maybe even years in advance. Probably not years, but like sometime in advance. Yes. And like in the sports world, right? Like the trade deadline, the draft, free agency, these are big moments. So like it doesn't really make any sense if you're like, oh, I want to fire this guy, and you let him run a trade deadline. Like what is the point if you don't trust his ability to run the team? Why are you letting him handle one of the most important days?
Yeah.
The funniest part about it was like the perfect ending to the Alavila era. So the Alavila era began in 2015. Okay. When he took over for Dave Dombrowski, who was probably the most successful Tigers general manager up to that point. We didn't win anything, but he was. We made 2 World Series with Dave Dombrowski. And Alavila was basically one of his underlings. Like he had worked with him back when Dave was working for Florida when they won 2 World Series. He was a scout for Miguel Cabrera, so he had a resume. But like, one of the first things he did is we had a pitcher by the name of Michael Fulmer. And Michael Fulmer was a rookie, and he was really, really good. He was an all-star, ended up winning Rookie of the Year.
Ooh.
Which is the best rookie pitcher, I should say. And honestly, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball at that point.
Sure.
And Alavila decided not to trade him. He opted to give him an extension. Michael Fulmer did not get better. In fact, Michael Fulmer died. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Michael Fulmer got hurt. Didn't really get better. Eventually, he turned into a bullpen arm. Fast forward, 2022. You know what Alavila did?
What did he do?
He traded Michael Fulmer. And he got one pitcher in exchange who had like a 17 ERA in the minor leagues.
Oh.
And you know who he traded him to? The Minnesota Twins. who are in our division.
Yeah.
And I'm not of the mind of like you can't trade within division. If the trade is the right trade, then you make the trade. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like, there is really no benefits
to that.
To that.
Yeah.
And now Michael Fulmer didn't stick around with the Twins, but like, it was just like you weren't going to trade him when his trade value was high. You instead trade him when his trade value was incredibly low. And then you happen to trade him to a team where he is immediately going to make us regret trading him.
Yeah.
Good job. And then he fired him. Not that long after. It was around August, I believe.
Yeah.
It was around August.
Something like that.
I remember I was on vacation. I was with my family. This was a wonderful day. This was a wonderful time.
You're like,
on vacation.
Yes!
It was literally like
Yes!
I was like my dad, and you know my dad. My dad, like I'm in the other room, and he's like, oh, Alavila got fired. I was like, really? Yes. And it was just like we all had a little moment. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful bonding moment I had with my father.
It's a wonderful bonding Caruana moment.
That's right. That's right. But we do have to talk about the Padres, Seth. I'm sorry. So you lost 3 straight. And
yep.
I just saw today you DFA'd Rougned Odor. Do you want to go over Rougned Odor's numbers?
No.
Okay, we're gonna go over Rougned Odor's numbers this year. So Rougned Odor had one of the years of his career. He was a negative WAR player, which, as we have discussed before, means barrel on the field does better. Negative 0.1 to be fair, so it's not a full loss, but it's like most loss. It's kind of a loss. He had, jeez, this is unbelievable. He had 29 hits and 138 at bats. 4 home runs, 210 batting average. He had 18 RBIs. That is amazing. That is. I'm not trying to rub this in, but that is. Wow. He had a 675 OPS and a 90 OPS plus, which is just 10 percentage points below average.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, he deserves to be DFA'd. But he was a player that was picked up this year. And well, it didn't really work out.
No.
It was just a 1-year deal though. So it's not like, obviously that's why you DFA'd him. But every time it seems we have to talk about the Padres, it just sort of devolves into confusion. Like, I just don't really know. Like, it's not like my team where I can identify exactly what the problem is. We don't have enough bats. We don't have enough. It's like, I don't know why you don't have enough bats. That's like.
I wish I could tell you, but I cannot.
Yeah, you have Ha-Seong Kim. You have Tatis. You got Soto.
Yep.
I don't.
Manny Machado.
Yeah, Machado.
Xander Bogaerts.
Xander Bogaerts. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, I mean, the pitching has been fine. We have discussed this. Pitching has been okay. Yeah. But the other thing that was confusing to me, I think I remember seeing something like they weren't interested in trading. Oh my gosh, now I'm like going through your players. I don't know if it was Blake Snell or it was some pitcher that they said they were not interested in trading. Joe Musgrove.
And he's starting today.
It's like they didn't want to trade. It's like, okay. I suppose in theory, what they might be thinking is they might want to buy, right?
Sure.
One problem, you have no prospects. Your farm system is devoid of anybody. So you can't really buy, at least not in the form of trade. Which means you're sort of stuck having to sign a bunch of players, which is what you did. Now, again, to be fair, we talked about a lot of these guys were your guys that you just signed. But I mean, I don't know. I seriously feel sorry about them. And I'm sort of laughing It's not laughing at you. I do not think that I am mocking you, Seth. I am just like
in
I don't
shock like
understand.
me.
I just like here's the thing. If you were if we were doing better than you, then I would just avoid the conversation. But we're not doing better than you. So you have that at least. It could be worse. Technically.
But it's the Padres. You want to run through our players again?
Oh,
and then tell me how and the beautiful green earth, green and blue earth that
you
were
do have
44 and
Austin
50.
Nola catching, and
he's ass.
Okay, that's rude, but fair.
Mike, we are 44 and 50.
You have Jake Cronenworth at first place.
44 and 50.
And he's had better years. You got Ha-Seong Kim. Did you know he's Korean? I learned that at one point.
Mr. San Diego. He's good. I like Ha-Seong Kim. I like some of these guys.
He seems like a fine player.
But here's the issue, Mike. You want to hear it? 44 and 50.
You know it's bad, especially when the DH that's listed for you is batting 174. That's not good, Seth. That's really not good.
Yeah. He's got a cool mustache.
He does. I love Matt Carpenter.
He's got a great mustache.
And
that's about it.
Now, to be fair, I don't think this was Matt Carpenter is 37 years old, and he was coming off of a good year with New York, but he hasn't been an all-star since 2016. He hasn't done well in a long time, and the year he had in New York was very
it was fluke.
It was very unforeseen, and I think you sort of bet that maybe he would have slightly similar numbers, probably not exactly, but slightly similar, and it didn't work out. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think what's his contract? Yeah, it's only a 1-year deal. I don't think that's really that big of a deal. And Xander Bogaerts, he hasn't been awful, but he certainly has not really moved the needle. He's only got a 109 OPS plus, which is slightly above average.
Yeah.
And only 11 home runs is that's the other thing. There's not a whole lot of major pop on this team outside of Tatis and Soto. Both of them 17 and 16 home runs respectively, which is amazing. Soto, I can't remember. He's always had really high home run totals.
Yeah, and Soto and Tatis, well, mainly Soto actually is the guy that teams see come up to bat and they're like, we're walking this guy.
Yeah, I mean Soto, just last year with he had a total of 27 home runs across Washington and San Diego. And I mean, he could still hit that. But 2019, he had 34 home runs. This is a guy who's close to 30 home runs a year for the most part. His worst year, he had 13 home runs, and that was back in the shortened season. So it doesn't even really count. He had 13 home runs in 47 games. That's pretty good. I mean, to be fair, this year he's leading the team he's leading the league in walks, 86 walks. So
he gets walked a lot, and
you score runs by getting on base. So that's good. I mean,
here's something.
We can't be mad at those guys, right? But we can be mad at Trent Grisham. It's not playing very well. And Jake Cronenworth, and I mean
Matt Carpenter.
But again, it's
mustache guy.
It is fixable within a year. I think everything basically went wrong.
Yeah.
But the big names are not terrible. Some of them are underperforming. Ha-Seong Kim is not amazing, but he's not terrible. Xander Bogaerts is not amazing, but he's not terrible. He's not like Javi Baez, right? You could have signed Javi Baez to a 6-year deal, and boy, let me tell you, that is not working out very well for the Tigers.
I didn't think so. But here's the problem.
I guess I'm trying to help. Okay, I'm trying to give you some solace that it could be much worse.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've heard this one before.
Okay.
44 and 50. This
Been
team,
waiting for a while. New Orleans has been waiting for a while.
Thank you, Stephen A.
this team,
Well,
which
I don't get. They bring the head comb.
Ed
that's
Cohn.
my reaction when you say you say we have to talk about the Padres.
We're trying to rationalize it, Seth. This is an experiment. Okay.
If they beat the Blue Jays, they are going to be currently 6 games under 500.
Okay.
If they
Here's
beat
the
the
other
Blue Jays,
thing, though.
they're going to be 5.
Here's the other thing, though. Okay.
Yep.
And this is very exciting because this weekend, the Padres are coming to Detroit.
That's
And
right.
they're playing the Detroit Tigers.
That is correct.
So we need to know right now because I think both of us are of the mind that neither of our teams will win. Like,
No.
I'm like in my mind,
It's
I'm
going to
like,
be a tie
okay.
for all 3 games.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, the Padres are struggling. They're not having a great offensive year. We have a pretty good pitching staff. That means the Tigers are going to lose, right? Like that mean like it's set up to where this is a team. It's at our home. You know, like I think we have a better home record than we do a road record. And if we end up winning this 4-game set against the Royals, we'll be coming off of back-to-back series wins. Coming home, it's going to be a big crowd, right? Because the Tigers are getting hot, and people are going to want to come see it. And it's the Padres. People want to come see the Padres. It's a historic team. It's the 1984 World Series rematch, and we're probably going to lay an egg, or maybe you'll lay an egg. Like it is like the battle of who wants to lose the series more, and I'm so excited for it because my hope is like. We can have I don't want it to be a sweep either way. And knowing the Tigers, it won't be a sweep for us.
That's
I don't know. I don't think the Padres have swept many people.
No, not this year. But
my guess is this could come down to the Sunday afternoon game, a rubber match. Honestly, I kind of want to we gotta watch this game together. If it's a rubber match on Sunday. We got to watch this game together because this is going to be an experience.
That could be an issue because this Sunday I will be in Sandusky, Ohio, riding roller coasters.
Ow!
Doing that.
Is that Cedar Point? Is that in
Yes.
Sandusky?
Yeah.
I thought Sandusky was in Michigan. Isn't?
There might be a Sandusky, Michigan.
I'm thinking of Petoskey. That's what I'm thinking of.
Bingo.
It's the other Polish sounding. It is Polish.
Close enough. But
so you're going to Cedar Point on Sunday. Okay.
Yes.
So you're avoiding the Padres?
Yeah.
I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, they're coming to town and I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm
gone.
I was already home for a month. I don't need to experience more of it.
That is have you ever been to a Padres game?
I have multiple.
To Petco or when they
Petco. Yep.
Okay.
I've been to.
They didn't always play at Petco.
3 games at Petco.
Now here's another question for you.
Yep.
Were you well, actually I don't know how old you would have been. Do you remember the episode of Drake and Josh where it's them at the Padres game as kids and they're trying to retell the story?
I think so, yes. Yep. But the foam finger. I do remember that, yes.
Yeah. Do you think you could have been on that episode? Is it I know they didn't I know it was filmed on a set, but
it's possible.
I don't remember what footage they used it because it's not the stadium they play in now, right? I think Petco is pretty new.
Petco is newer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's new. It's at least newer. That episode is,
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't want to think about it, but over a decade old, probably more than that. Came out in the 2000s, so close to 2 decades.
Let's see. Saying Petco Park opened April 8th, 2004.
So it could have been. It could have been Petco. But it might not have been. Was it called Petco at that point?
I don't know. It may not have been. It might have always been Petco. I don't know. But I don't know when that Drake and Josh episode was filmed. But I do know when Petco Park, opened, I would have been still under a year old.
I don't want to hear that. That disturbs me.
It was a week out from my first birthday. Is when Petco Park opened.
The foam finger. On the IMDb page.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, does it give a release day?
It has to be past 2004, right?
Yes, October 8th, 2005. So in 2 years, it'll be 2 decades old. So
Very
yeah,
nice.
it must have been like it was like brand new. I wonder if at the time, because obviously the show was not literally filmed in San Diego.
Yeah.
But it took place in San Diego. And I
Well,
wonder
yes.
if like, the Padres were like, hey, why don't you do an episode and you can show, like, there's a shot in the episode, if you remember, where they show the field, like they show
Yeah.
as if a game is actually happening.
Yep.
And presumably they had to pay for that, right?
That
Like,
is
they couldn't
true.
just film the park. So
Who knows?
now, how did the Padres do that year? That's an even better question.
We don't have to go back and look.
2005 Padres.
Nope.
Let's take a look.
I think that's okay.
Hey, they had a winning record, 82-80, and they won the division. they made the playoffs.
How in the hell is that possible at 82-80?
You know what's even crazier about that is like, just to think of like the NL West at this stage to win that division with that record. It's basically it's like
insane.
unfathomable. Bruce
Yeah.
Bochy was the manager.
Never heard of him.
He was a player.
Hmm.
I think. I mean, he's a good manager. He won multiple World Series.
Yep.
Just
not with
the Padres.
not with Padres, of course.
With
but-
the Giants, actually.
yeah. Well,
Which is even
Yeah.
worse.
those guys. Yeah.
The other California team.
Oh yeah, those guys. Yeah. One of them.
But I'm trying to see. Yeah, it was in Petco Park. I'm trying to see like how did they finish? Finish first in the. Oh, they lost in the divisional series. Oh, they got swept.
Oh,
Well, that's not good.
nice.
They got swept in
Yeah.
the first round.
Sure.
Oh gosh, look at these. Oh man, this is back when they had the blue.
Yeah.
I don't like the blue. What do you
No?
think of the blue?
I like the blue.
You like the blue?
Yeah.
If they went
it's
back to
just-
the blue, would you be upset?
Nope. I'd actually think that if they went back to the blue for their alternates instead of those very
The
colorful,
colorful, like.
yeah, those are.
What is the
a
deal
li-
with that? You're from San Diego. Explain to me. Why is that?
There's a
city?
palm tree on it. I don't know. It's something.
See, when I
couldn't
think of
tell
San
you, though.
Diego, this is kind of weird. I don't really think of palm trees.
Yeah.
I think of like beaches. I guess I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think
well,
of
I think most
Florida
people
when
do.
I think of palm trees.
Yeah, I think most people
Uh,
probably associate just California with beaches in general.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know who any of these players are. Actually,
yeah,
I know who Phil Nevin is, but I think I know him because I'm pretty sure he's a manager now.
interesting.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I wasn't watching baseball at that point, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably were in diapers. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Oh boy, the Royals starting to mount a comeback here.
Well, of
Scored
course.
a run here, so that's not good. An RBI triple. That's not good.
Ow!
Oh,
Ow!
All right. Well, that's all we got.
yeah.
It's a slow news week. I don't know what you want from me.
And you know what it's
Uh,
gonna be next week? Another one.
Probably. I mean, there are some things that could potentially happen. We're still waiting on the Dame trade. If that ever
Yeah,
happens,
it's probably never gonna happen.
You see, the Cavaliers won the summer league.
I did. Yes.
Did you watch the game?
No.
No, I didn't either. Because I have
No,
self-respect.
Yeah. Man.
Marcus Sasser dropped 40 points though. Did you see that?
Very nice.
Yeah. He discovered that you can actually make baskets. So that was really his.
Well, that's good.
flaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we got nothing else to say, so we're
that's
gonna
it.
wrap up the show. Appreciate the people, and yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen next week. Hopefully,
see.
news will happen. Maybe some trades will happen. Maybe more rumors will start to circulate involving our teams.
Maybe.
That would be nice.
One
And
can
we hear
hope.
something about Erod or about Michael Lorenzen. Is he gonna get traded? He better.
Probably not.
Please,
It's
Scott, if you're listening, please.
Detroit.
Please trade him. I'm
Yes.
begging you. They're on expiring contracts. There's literally no benefit to keeping them. Hey, look, a sack fly. The Royals tied it up. I love baseball. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here before I lose my mind watching Tarek Skubal blow a 2-0 lead. So yeah, Hope everybody has a great night.
Yep.
Bye,
Peace
everybody.
out, party people.
Goodbye.